the one and only Gabby Shirley, Tampa Bay Lightning reporter, FanDuel Sports Network. Where everybody wants to know, where are you right now? Somewhere in the Pacific Northwest. Where are you at?
Where is Waldo, right, Jay? I am
Yes.
currently in Seattle.
Oh, did you guys leave last night or this morning?
Yes, we flew from Calgary last night. We got
Oh,
not actually too late in the grand scheme of things, and then I had to get right to bed because I wanted to look fresh for this podcast. My first time on, I have been awful to get a hold of. Like, what is, because you're one of my favorites. So thank you so much for trying me again and inviting me to join.
oh man, it's so happy that you're on the
Ah,
program today. And listen, I'm sure that I've said this when you joined us on the radio, but to see your path and your journey over the last couple of years has been truly inspiring, and to see all these like fans out there, these Lightning fans, and especially the young girls out there that just look up to you. I mean, it's just so great. You want to talk about great things happening and the great people, all of our listeners and viewers today. I mean, Gabby really is one of the best people, a dear friend of me, so of mine. So I'm just so happy for you and all your success, and to see you traveling all over the world with our Tampa Bay Lightning and doing such a great job. I couldn't be more proud of you. So congratulations on all your success. You keep it going. And I love your shirt today. I actually have the t-shirt of that somewhere around here somewhere. I was actually cleaning up
good
the other
one,
night.
right?
But what was it like last night where it's just like every time you look up, there's another goal and another goal and another goal. And then Jake Guentzel scores a hat trick. And it's like, yeah, you had, and Coop said it so great in the post-game press conference. Oh yeah, we forgot like Cooch had 6 points. It's just so
So
crazy. Like that's one of those games you're never gonna forget.
yeah, it was a phenomenal game. I guess, right, Jay? Always from my perspective, it's probably best. You can probably get a feel for it the best when like second period and the game's tied or we're up one, down one, and I am strategizing for questions on a win and questions on a loss. And it's a little bit like that in the first period, second period as well. So we're down 1-0, and I got a certain set, and then Kucherov ties it with like a couple minutes to go, and like, all right, that's out the window. Like, let's
Mm.
focus on tie game. Like, we were down one goal, and it was a good first period for the Lightning. But tied going into the second after the goal by Cooch, a breakaway, which Jay doesn't always go in his favor. We've seen him before, and he is such a
Right.
phenomenal player and tries a lot of different things, but he scored on that one. That was awesome. And then the Lightning come back, big lead in the second, couple power play goals, but then they let Calgary back into it, and they were only up by one. And then third period, Jon Cooper said it best. Yeah, we scored 4 goals. That's great, but I was more proud of the way we defended. We defended ourselves to a win. They got goals in the process, but it all starts with defense. And yes, it was a great game. The superstars were the superstars, but still, Jay, I felt like everyone was contributing. We had a new defenseman in there because Victor Hedman was a late no go.
Mm.
He's battling a little something, and the Lightning got it done. It was wonderful.
And then JJ Moser left too. So you didn't have Chernak, you didn't have Hedman, Moser leaves. And to be able to play that final 20 the way that they did with right, just kind of all right, you go with him and you go with him. And I mean, I thought that was the most, they scored 8 goals, but I thought that was the most impressive thing of the entire night, to be able to see, all these different guys to be able to step in, playing with partners that maybe they're not used to playing with all that much. But I feel like when the Lightning are at their best this year, Gab, it's when everybody contributes. As much as how great Nikita is and Pointer is, and I love Guentzel, but it just seems like when you're getting goals from like Geeky and Hagel and Sorelli, and then you're playing strong defensively, they have the big cat. I mean, I just feel like that's when they're at their best. Do you agree with that sentiment?
Yeah, 100%, Jay. And we saw it from everyone last night.
Right.
He was my first intermission interview because he was all over the place, creating different chances. He started on a line with Sorelli and Hagel. It seemed like Jon Cooper was moving lines already in that first period, but the second period started. Geeky was back out with them. And in the interview, he told me that it's fun playing with those two. And he used the word tenacious when talking about Brandon Hagel, and basically said, like, yeah, like I'm a tough player. Like I would like to play that way, but like it for sure rubs off there on the ice with those guys. So yes, Jay, 100%. I think everyone played really well. You could feel the energy of a good win. Another little side story, Jay. I'm not sure if you saw, but they had a big Lightning fan. He's from the Calgary area,
Yes.
in Beach. 11 years old, battling brain cancer. And we've met before in Calgary. He's come to Tampa and he was in the building. And Jon Cooper, you won't be surprised to hear this, Jay, could not have been more wonderful with him, inviting him on the bench for the morning skate, then out on the ice, into the room. He had him do the lineup read before the game. He brought him back to give Andrei Vasilevsky the puck for 500 games. We didn't even talk about that yet. That's like a whole nother layer to it. So it was a really great night.
One thing that I tell people, because you know me covering all the different teams here locally, there's just something different about the Lightning. They're just being, and you know this because you covered them when you were with Channel 8 and you covered them kind of from afar, and you were in the media, right? You were in the local media. Now that you're in the organization, traveling with the team, I'm sure you have such a unique perspective on things like that, right? I don't think there's any mistake why a team like the Tampa Bay Lightning have been so successful. Because when you look at things like that, when you look at how Jon Cooper treats people, I've said it here on the podcast before. When I got let go a little bit over a month ago, Jon Cooper came up to me after the game. Julian Breezeball stopped me in the elevator, and Steve Griggs, the CEO, stopped me up in the press box. Not saying that I didn't hear from any of the other teams, but it was like those three guys all sought me out and was like, "Are you okay? What can we do to help?" And to see that, to see Jon Cooper, the way that they've dealt with young kids dealing with unspeakable, sicknesses like this, military, everybody. I mean, it's no surprise that they're so successful on the ice, because what the Lightning do as an organization off the ice, it just, I think it's incomparable. I truly believe they're one of the best teams in all of sports.
Yeah, Jay, I did what I should never do and read comments on X. Just kidding. People aren't that terrible. But I saw one and someone was commenting on one of the videos of Easton and the team. And the point was like, wow, like they're so like genuine. Like they actually are enjoying inviting him in and chatting with him, this little 11-year-old kid that they've met once. And I like that, like really hit the nail on the head. Like it is so true. It's never a chore or oh it's too much or we got to change our routine to accommodate. Like it is like yes, 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 what more can we do? Bring him in, go get him, and from everyone top down. And yeah, it's great being on this side of things.
It's never conditional, right? It's never like, oh, we'll do this, but this has to be like, it's just
Correct.
whether it's Coop's catch or whether it's, just anything, any way to give back to the community, the Tampa Bay Lightning do so. And I just saw something. I don't know if you saw this, but I think it was Bleacher Report just put out an article, the 20 best franchises since the year 2000. And the Lightning came in at number 9 out of
Wow.
the 4 major sports. Now, if you go the last 10 years, they might be higher up on the list.
Right.
But to think in the last 25 years, they've been to the Cup final five times. I think 5 times. Yeah, 5 times because they won in 04. So they 5 times. They've won it 3 times. And you're talking about a team that since 2000, they're higher than teams like the Yankees, right? I mean, it's pretty wild to think
Crazy.
where they're at. And yeah, I think like number 1 was the Patriots, obviously with Tom Brady, and then you had like the Lakers because they had Shaq and Kobe and all those, and the Spurs and the Warriors, and you get I think the Chiefs are number 7 and the Penguins, I think, were number 8, but they had 3 cups, obviously. But wow, just to see Lightning and the Lightning grow, it's just pretty wild to see a team that's in the state of Florida, because you and I we're not from down here, to be able to see the Lightning grow and to be one of the top 10 franchises in the last 25 years in sports. That's pretty incredible, isn't it?
It really is, Jay. And again, I'm not sure if this fully encompasses all that you just touched on there, but my brothers who live up in Pennsylvania came down to Tampa, Jay. They have come down a few times, not much. They're not big travel guys. I give them a hard time all the time, but they attended their first game at Amalie Arena.
Wow.
On the road, like in Philly. I think they met me in DC, but first time at Amalie Arena. And obviously we were out and about. They were only here for a couple days. And the continual like comment I got was like, wow, like look at that huge Go Bolt sign, like on this random in the middle of nowhere. Like, oh my God, there's another one. Oh, wow, look at that. Like the Lightning are everywhere. And right, Jay, I think the success helps. I think the character, if you will, of the organization helps. But I feel like when I think of Tampa, I think of the Tampa Bay Lightning.
No, I'm with you. And the people, listen, if you have disposable income in some way and you can only spend, if you're a family of four and you have $200 to spend on something, are you going to the movies? Are you going to a football game, baseball game? Are you going to a hockey game, right? You know that you're not just going to a hockey game. It's an event. And as soon as you walk into that building, all the friendly people at Amalie Arena, you hear Greg Wolf getting everybody fired up in the crowd. Once Sonia Bryson Kirksey sings the national anthem, you're like, oh my God, you get goosebumps. I get it every single time. And I've heard her do it probably 500 times already, right? Like, so it's wild that it's such a great experience for even people that aren't the biggest hockey fans. They walk out of that door as Tampa Bay Lightning fans, and that'll probably never change. I wanted to ask you this because you've been there on this trip. Jon Cooper's about to coach Team Canada in the Four Nations face-off. This is a big deal, and I don't know if we talk about it enough here locally, but him being the head coach of Team Canada in a competition like this is something that there's a lot of pressure. Braden Point's on this team, Anthony Cirelli, Hagel's on this team. We know there's other Julian's involved, right? When you listen to the media up in Canada, when you're on like a trip like this, talk to Cooper, what is that interaction like? Because there's got to be some kind of like reverence, like you're the guy. Like that's got to be one of the best, like one of the most high profile. This is their sport, right? I mean, this is their national sport. And for Jon Cooper, our coach of the Tampa Bay Lightning, to be the head coach of Team Canada for not just the Four Nations, but it looks like the Olympics too. What's that interaction like with the Canadian media and Jon Cooper?
Jay, as you would expect, they are all over it. They have questions that could go on for days. And personally, I love hearing like their take, their side of things, what they're thinking in regards to this upcoming Four Nations face-off. But I think we got it not worse, but perhaps the biggest scrum, if you will, was in Edmonton. And obviously it was chatting about Connor McDavid specifically. Jon Cooper is such a great interview, Jay. He really is. He said, I've been talking with Connor McDavid throughout this entire process, right? A superstar like that, like you want to make sure you get his opinion. And also Jon said, like, I need to know what puts him in the best possible position to succeed. I want to know that so I can do it for him and for our team. This is a huge honor. So Jon Cooper definitely hit on how exciting this is going to be, how important it is for him. However, Jay, I will say, I personally feel like there's a little bit of like the Tampa Bay Lightning, we have a game that's happening in a couple hours or tomorrow. Like this can wait. So again, he takes the questions. I always think they're very interesting. I love hearing his response, but I feel a little bit, I could be totally off, but I feel a little bit of like, all right, like I need to get 2 points here. Like this can wait. We're not to February just yet.
Yeah, and you know as well as I do, sometimes those morning skate scrums go off the rails. You just don't know what's going on. We could talk about, years ago, Jon Cooper's like, were you shaved? You're just talking about my hair for like 5 minutes. We're talking about Paul Kennedy's sweaters because he has every pastel possible, right? He's got like egg like sea foam and eggshell. He's got them all.
Periwinkle.
Yeah. What is it like? Take us through working with the FanDuel crew. Obviously we remember it here locally, like Fox, and then it was Bally, now it's FanDuel, but working with, the whole crew over there, behind the scenes, in front of the camera, we all love them. But just for you on a daily basis to be able to work with those guys, especially guys like Randorf and Engblom, that's got to be a lot of fun.
I know, Jay. The faces and voices that perhaps our listeners right now would recognize: Dave Randorf, our play-by-play commentator, and Brian Engblom, our color analyst. As you know, Jay, I was in local news. Like, this is my first time being on this side of things, and I don't think I could have dreamed of a better duo for what they do during the games and just for how they treat me. Like, they are so wonderful. I can ask them anything and they'll be there to help me. I love it's been happening more, Jay. So maybe that means I'm on a roll. But Brian Engblom, I'll get the random mid-game, or actually I would say it's usually pre-game, text about like, wow, that was a really good question in your bench interview, or I can't believe so and so said that, like, awesome job. Like, just like, I don't know, he doesn't have to say that. They're just phenomenal, really. Again, I could talk to them about anything. They've always been so helpful and so gracious to me. And Jay, I learn so much from them. Brian Engblom in particular, you know this. He has the craziest, funniest, most entertaining stories from back in the day, his hockey career. Like, I could listen to him forever. And then behind the scenes, I have two really great producers. Brad Bartle is our game producer, and John Harrell is our pregame, postgame. Same thing, Jay. Like, they're just so helpful. I can always bounce things off of them. I have them in my ear all game. So we're chatting about different things. Who should we interview? Will this in-game hit fit here? Did you see if so-and-so got hurt on this play? Like, just the whole range of things. And it's really a pleasure. Like, I have no complaints.
I'm glad you said that about what Brian said to you, because it just means different coming from certain people, right? I mean, I've had that in my career too, where somebody will text me like, that was a really great interview, and it's by somebody that I really respect, and it's just like, we all like to be told nice things, right? It doesn't mean like that's all we do it for, but every once in a while, and depending on who the source is, right, like that, it means that much more. And I don't want to give too much of a peek behind the curtain, but you've always been so honest and transparent about your transition to become the team reporter. I remember you and I speaking very early on in your career, like, hey, if you hear anything, just let me know. Like, and I truly believe that's why you've been able to grow so much and to be able to establish yourself as such a important voice in our Tampa Bay area when it comes to the Lightning, because you've been so humble embarking on this journey, and you've been open to criticism, and you've been open to, just knowledge and tidbits along the way. If you don't, it's continuously, like, you have to continue to learn, right? You have to, use all of this information that we're getting from these people. Like, what are you and I gonna tell us that, like, Phil Esposito and Brian Engblom, like,
Exactly.
Engblom's got his name on the cup 2 times for, you know what I mean? So you're like, yeah, Brian, tell me whatever the hell you want. I'm going with it.
I'm listening, and I will follow. Whatever it is. Yes, I am all ears. And also, Jay, I think you can relate to this, and perhaps the people that, not that this is me, but have great success in whatever they do. Like, the questions that I ask, right, in game is a little different because you're based on the game, have 20 minutes in a period. But those pregame questions, Jay, I am nonstop thinking about them in my mind. Should I change this word? Like, is that too soft? Is it too much about the hometown? Should I focus more on the game? You know what? Let's switch this one. Like, so there's a lot from my end. I'm a little paranoid, but there's a lot of thought that goes into that. I'm not just stepping up there and winging it. So when he says something like that, and from what I know of thinking about that for the past 48 hours, it means a lot.
Tell me about, I think what flies under the radar sometimes, and you realize it sometimes, are Mikey and Gabe and their crew, and all the video production that they do, the social media stuff. Like, those guys are so top notch. And I know you spend a lot of time with them as well. It just seems like whatever our guys, Mikey Halloran and Gabe Marte, whatever they touch turns to gold.
Yes.
It's just phenomenal to be able to watch those guys do their job.
Jay, again, I just work with unreal individuals. Yes, everything they put out is phenomenal. And me talking about just preparing, obviously I'm passionate about this job, Jay, but those two in particular they care so much, which is like a key to why they are so good at what they do. And I guess, Jay, again, this might sound a little silly, but coming from local news, I was the reporter, and I also would film things. I would go out with my camera and kind of do, the one-man band show. I would film, I would put it together. I'm writing the story. I feel like I'm a decent, back in the day when I did longer form pieces, like, I would really pride myself on, like, the storytelling. Now it's kind of condensed. My storytelling really comes in like 30-second hits. So it's changed a bit. But Jay, working with the Lightning, Recharge, for example, our behind the scenes show, I am so honored to be invited on some shoots to interview the players, kind of help out while they're doing all the filming and making sure it looks beautiful. And then Jay, right, the final episode that comes out, there is a beautiful story told in there. I did not touch it. I did not see it until there was a first approval. Like, these Gabe, Mikey, they are filming, they are thinking of the theme, they are putting together the work, like they are doing it all. And I don't know, I guess that just surprised me, and not to take anything away from photographers and local news, but the photographers that I previously worked with, it was not their job to create the story.
Right.
Gabe and Mikey, they do it all. Everything, every time something comes out, like I'm just amazed. I am just amazed. It's always so well done.
They're fantastic. Before I get you out of here, Cheryl, a huge Lightning fan. I got to meet her at the last live block party at the tap room there. So excited for the Four Nations face-off. I'll be in Montreal to see all 4 teams play. Good for you, Cheryl. Good luck to Jon Cooper, but I am a little torn since I am American. I was thinking about that when you were talking about him dealing with the Canadian media. I mean, as much as I love Coop and I love Cirelli, Hagel, and Pointer, it's just like, I guess, do we cheer? We can't cheer for Canada, right? I mean, we're Americans, damn it. Like, what do we do here?
Again, Jay, maybe I'm brainwashed at this point, but like, I didn't even consider rooting for USA.
And what about Jake Guentzel? And Hetty, the captain of the team. He's going to be the Sweden. Like, it's... Oh.
You're right. Let me take that back. I think I've been focused on rooting for individual players rather than the full Team USA, Team Canada, Team Sweden. But yeah, I'm so excited for that tournament. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I think our players are really excited too. Yeah. Again, maybe I was so far off, but that all-star break, if you are not an all-star, a lot of the guys are in the Caribbean. So I was wondering if there would be any sort of like, but I can honestly say, like, I have not seen it. People are so excited. I had a chance to talk to Brandon Hagel's dad, Dwayne, at the game in Edmonton. He was also in Calgary. We met him on our Bolts Beginnings trip. So him and I are like this. I think that and the Team Canada came up, and without, saying too much, he just kept reiterating, like, I wish I was with Brandon when he found out. Like, it means so much. It's such an honor. Like, I really wish I was with him. And then he followed that up by saying that he lives in Edmonton, Brandon's in Tampa. So the one-on-one time that those two have is not a lot. I think Dwayne is coming for the holidays in December. And he said, like, I already told Brandon, like, let's just go to lunch, like the two of us, because Gabby, like, I want to make sure I tell him, like, face to face, like, how proud I am. And like, right, Jay? Like, so it means a lot, not just to the players, but to their families as well.
And to think about it too, with Brandon Hagel, and this is a guy that not very little known guy when it came to the national landscape, when the Lightning picked him up from Chicago a couple of years ago. And now he's playing on Team Canada, Gabby. That's insane.
It's insane. Yep.
Feel so happy for him. The one and only Gabby Shirley, happy for you and all your success, my good friend. You're a great example that great things happen to great people. I appreciate your time. Stay warm up there in Seattle, and I'll see you next week when you guys get back to Emily Arena. I appreciate it, my friend. Talk soon.
Jay, get me on again, would you? This was too short.
23 minutes. Everybody else is begging off after 15. Gabby's like, 23 minutes. All right, real quick. All right, fine. Last question. Give me 3 more minutes. What are you going to do during the break then? Four Nations face-off.
Okay, Jay, I am also torn because I think that perhaps like a little getaway would be nice. I got to run it by my boss, Brian Briesman. But
I thought you were gonna say your husband.
Oh no, my take a vacation.
No, because it's funny because I don't know why. Like I call my girlfriend Stephanie my boss. So when anybody asks me to do something, I gotta go check on my boss. And especially now that I just got let go a month ago, everybody's like, "What do you mean, your boss?" And I'm like, "Steph." They're like, "Oh, that makes sense." Okay, so that's it. Threw me off. But yeah, Breeze, come on, Breezer.
You're a good man, Jay. Yeah, so I got to check with Breeze. I thought that maybe a little getaway would be lovely. However, like, I want to be locked in for every single one of these.
I know.
So I'm honestly a little bit torn.
Yeah, I mean, you want to go, but you're like, all right, can I go? But as long as there's a place where there's cable TV and I can see these games.
Right, there is. But I'm like, when I'm on vacation, like, I am the girl, like, I'm not going to sit in my room and watch. This is different, but I'm not going to sit in my room and watch Netflix. Like, I want to be out. I want to be exploring. I want to, so being inside for hockey games that I really am dying to watch. I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say like watch him at like a swim up bar, but is that
But
going
then
to be
you're
a
not
place that's going to
focused.
want to watch hockey? Yeah, I know.
Tweeting when Jake Guentzel scores another hat trick. Like,
How's he been?
I'm laughing, Jay, because he is so funny in this particular regard. Hopefully he won't hate me for saying this, but he says yes to all things, right? We obviously ask the players, hey, can you do this pregame bench interview? But he will give it to me because it's probably not his favorite thing. And last game against Calgary, I had him pregame on the bench. Then he scores a hat trick and I had him postgame. And he comes over after getting off the ice and is like, oh my gosh, Jon Cooper was standing right there, Jay. And Jon turns around and he's like, hey, Gens, like, if you don't want to do an interview, like, stop scoring 3 goals. Like, and like shrugged his shoulders. But we've obviously seen what he can do on the ice. He came in, Jay. Everyone was talking about the hockey IQ. To me, I still feel like I'm learning so much about the game. Like, I couldn't really figure out or visualize exactly what that meant. But just watching him, no matter who he's out there on the ice with, the plays that he makes, the passes that he makes, like, yes, hockey IQ is high. He can play with Nikita Kucherov and Braden Point. I remember there was maybe 1 or 2 games. It was him and Nick Paul when they did 11 forward, 7D. And like those two were phenomenal. So whoever he's out there with, like they just seem to fit. And he's a great guy off the ice. He just doesn't really like when I bother him for interviews.
Yeah, I saw it last night in the post game. You could tell he had like a dry sense of humor and it was just so funny. You could tell that there was something a little bit more behind that conversation that you guys had after the game. But yeah, you look at Jake Guentzel and people go, all right, he played with Sidney Crosby. How good is he, right? But I think that's one of the things that happens maybe in hockey that doesn't happen in the other major sports where you have to be at a certain level to play with guys that good. Like it doesn't happen for everybody. And we have seen in the past, like some people can't play on a line with Point and Kucherov.
Yep.
Some people can't play next to Victor Hedman. It doesn't mean they're not good players, but it's almost like your style has to fit into the line that you're playing on or the pair that you have. And it just seems like whether he goes to Carolina and plays with those guys in Pittsburgh, whether he could play with Crosby or Malkin or here, I mean, he's just like a sponge. He's a chameleon, and he's just a guy that just continues to score. And again, I still think it's hilarious that he scored a hat trick last night. And it's like, yeah, but you were the second star of the game because this guy had a goal and 5 assists. To see Nikita Kucherov,
Yes.
I mean, just to watch Kuch do what he did last night, he really is a magician on the ice because he doesn't go see other people in hockey, and you'll get this. And the 2 best players I think a lot of people think in the league are McDavid and Nathan MacKinnon. But when they're great because they get the engines pumping and they just start flying everywhere, right? Cale Makar's the same way on defense.
Right.
But Cooch is the opposite. Cooch slows everything down. And on the one goal, I think it was the Guentzel hat trick goal, Cooch makes a move inside, outside, and he's just like lulling you to sleep and then passes it to Guentzel. There's an assist. I mean, he's like a spin doctor or like he's like a hypnotist. Just it's amazing because I don't think anybody in the NHL does exactly what Nikita Kucherov does. You may see other guys do well with speed, right? Maybe nobody's as fast as Connor McDavid, big, fast, and strong. But there's other guys in the league, Kaprizov, guys that are really, really fast. I don't know if anybody slows it down to a pace that Nikita Kucherov does and is still one of the top 5 players in the game.
Jay, that's a really good point because, right, you think of Nikita Kucherov and I watch him every night and I like, how does he do it? But yes, that is his style. I don't know how he does it and it just never fails. I don't like and I honestly, Jay, I think we've all heard about his work ethic and the season ends and he takes 24 hours and he's back on the ice. But I really, if I had to try to explain it, like it's got to be just like those fundamentals. Like he does all of the little things so well that he has this vision. It seems like he's working 10 steps ahead of everyone else and he can just make it look effortless.
Yeah, you're right. And remember when we were at prospect camp, not last year, but the year before, we were there, and I think it was just the three of us because Chris Kren was still the beat writer at the time, and then Ed Encina. So I think it was like the 3 and 4 of us. And all of a sudden, it's like all these prospects, and then Nikita Kucherov's gear is in his locker, and we're like, what the heck is going on here? Like, and there's Pointer comes in, he's like, yeah, Cooch got me out here. Like, he's just on a completely different wavelength than everybody else. All right, I got to get you out here because I have other people coming on the show today. You and I can do this for 2 hours. The one and only Gabby Shirley. Check her out on all social media platforms, and check her out, of course, tomorrow night, FanDuel, as the Lightning take on the Seattle Kraken. I love you. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll talk soon.
Love you too, Jay. Thank you.